And anyway, there's a saying that you grow into your avatar and you grow up not to put yourself in a box, but it talks about what it is that you're transcending with the sun and Pluto, like what it is that you're transforming as far as generational wounds go within the lineage that are simultaneously experiencing and expressing themselves through you. There are many choices being made through this vessel, and it's whether you're allowing those ancestral wounds of the past to or govern the way that you choose to move forward, or if you're consciously redirecting your life in a new direction. That's what I'm seeing, because they're showing me with mine specifically, like I'm a Cancer sun and I grew up being very, very shy, like always hiding behind my mother, you know, never really speaking ever, and you know, I thought it was crippling social anxiety, but really it showed me the biggest wound that I was working on in this lifetime. And then I grew into more of my rising sign, which is a lot more fire, right? So that's what I'm seeing. There's some type of shift that's happening like that. So this is exactly, so it's like you get to embody a different expression, right? Or a different way that the soul chooses to express itself and where that's being held back. And I think there's so many other aspects that we can talk about as far as like the matrix goes and the oppositions. Ideally you want to come back into that neutral observation point and then 0 point where you begin to neutralize the energy and take aspects from both. Okay, so this is exactly where all planetary systems and physical processes take shape to create a planet, and not just that. All this happens around a star. Not only is there nothing that you need to worry about, but also nothing that you need to do. If lack of clarity caused by the nebula brings anxiety or confusion, remember to pay attention to the sky. Sometimes it decides to get the clouds across in order to pull certain things together with the sun. On those days, we may only be able to see the clouds at glance, but we know that the sun can be found on its meeting. Everything is on its path, just enjoy the journey. So this is about the journey back to yourself in many ways. And then you have celestial uterus, right, for the supporting factor. So let me read this for you so you can see. It's literally a rebirth energy. It's so conducive, you know. It's like this environment is, it's so like empress energy. That's what it's giving me. It's like a hidden gestation period that we're moving through. So where is celestial uterus at? It should be right here. Okay, Genesis, fertility and support. Everything begins in a uterus as a container, solitary in silence, resting before leaving the dark to step into the light. That's exactly what you've been. It's almost as if, again, you're coming out of hiding, and then with the fire, there's like a spotlight energy. So everything begins in a uterus as a container. And sorry, there's another download that I'm getting around a sign that I was seeing. Let me see if I'll put it up. I'll put it up after this. Giving birth to allow us to flourish in society and interact with the rest of the planet. So this could be where you've been withholding yourself or something. I'm hearing your message, okay, your message. The universe, the uterus gives us, okay, the uterus is the universe, and it gives us necessary time to contemplate the crucial phases of life, above all, of gestation. What else could possibly come from that seed? We are born and we flourish, we gestate, and we give birth to ourselves continuously in the cycle of life. We acknowledge ourselves as human creatures who change our skin on a cyclical basis, giving life and birth to new parts of our being, eventually revealing it from its hidden gestation process. There's a new phase or facet of yourself. You're not bound to one version of yourself, okay? Oh, it reminds me of the law of decoherence, which I'm not even going to talk about right now, even though I'm very, very tempted to get into it. It's about you returning back to quantum superposition. Announce this new you to yourself first and in the world, but not through words, through embodiment. That's what I would say, okay, from you. Because the more that you interact or engage or announce things before they're done, you know, trees do not announce their growth. Transmission is its own silence sometimes. Our projects and relationships are formed in the same way, especially when we're in that vulnerable stage, right, where I feel like we're getting to know this new version of self and how it operates, how it navigates, how it moves through this construct. It's a continuous birth. You're learning yourself. That's what I feel like. You're not even, it's not that you're even learning yourself. I feel like you're
predictable nor manipulable. You are a mind in motion that cannot be slowed by expectation, a consciousness that cannot be ensnared by fear, a presence that cannot be overshadowed by doubt. Every encounter with you Every second spent attempting to calculate your reactions exposes the limitations of their framework. They become frantic, not because you are aggressive, not because you are louder, not because you are more visible, but because their understanding of power has no access to the level at which you operate. And in that, there is a profound lesson. Fearlessness is not the absence of danger. Intelligence is not the accumulation of facts. Sovereignty is not the pursuit of approval. They are byproducts of consciousness that refuses containment, perception that refuses deception, and presence that refuses validation from anyone outside itself. They may attempt to mimic your decisiveness. They may attempt to project confidence. They may attempt to replicate clarity. But all of it falls short because you are not performing. You are not responding. You are simply existing at a level that redefines what is possible. They measure struggle as proof of weakness. They measure compliance as control. They measure aggression as dominance. You, however, demonstrate a different paradigm entirely. Alignment, observation, and indifference to external expectation. And this is why people are consistently shocked by you. They cannot anticipate you because you do not operate in anticipation. They cannot provoke you because provocation relies on attachment. They cannot intimidate you because intimidation depends on perception of vulnerability. And every moment they spend attempting to process your reality only reinforces the evidence of your mastery. That intelligence is embodied, that fearlessness is operational, that consciousness itself is the ultimate form of influence. You do not need to dominate, because dominion is automatic when no one else's framework can penetrate your awareness. You do not need to argue, because arguments exist only for those who measure influence in gestures rather than perception. You do not need to prove, because proof is for minds that require validation outside of themselves. And in this, your existence becomes a weapon, subtle, invisible, devastating. They may watch, analyze, speculate, and even project. Yet none of it reaches you. They attempt patterns, but you operate in awareness that has already bypassed pattern recognition. They attempt control, but you have already redefined the field in which control is relevant. They attempt to provoke fear, but fear has no anchor in your sovereignty. Every effort they expend becomes a demonstration of your elevation, a confirmation of the fact that they cannot access, cannot influence, cannot measure the mind they are witnessing. And the deeper truth is this. Every shock they experience, every subtle sense of being outmaneuvered, every fleeting awareness that they cannot touch you, strengthens your presence without your conscious effort. You do not need to practice. You do not need to plan. You do not need to prepare. The very act of being fully aware, fully sovereign, fully aligned, carries impact that cascades through interactions, social structures, and perceptions. People around you are unwitting witnesses to a power they cannot contain. They experience the force of your intelligence without understanding its origin. They experience the consequences of your fearlessness without perceiving the mechanics. They sense the sovereignty of your consciousness without naming it. And this is why they are consistently shocked. Because true power does not announce itself. True fearlessness does not perform. True intelligence does not need approval. It is measured by presence, impact, and alignment. And those who attempt to contain, predict, or manipulate you will find their methods impotent, their strategies irrelevant, their assumptions invalid. You are an anomaly, but not in the sense they use the word. You are the natural consequence of choosing consciousness over distraction, awareness over expectation, sovereignty over compliance. You are a spiritual badass because your mind navigates spaces they cannot map. Your presence bends energy they cannot touch. Your decisions manifest outcomes they cannot anticipate. And the deeper, unspoken layer is this. While they are shocked, while they are trying to catch up, while they are attempting to understand, you are already. Decisiveness is rare, and it exposes how many people remain trapped in cycles of doubt, obligation, and fear. Your intelligence shows not in how much you tolerate, but in how precisely you choose. You understand that every interaction is an exchange of attention, and attention is the most valuable currency there is. You don't waste it. You don't throw it at chaos. You don't invest it where it won't grow. And that discipline reads as fearlessness to those who are still negotiating with their own hesitation. They assume you must be protected by something external, some hidden advantage, some unseen safety net. But the truth is far more unsettling for them. Your protection is internal coherence. Your safety is self-trust. Your advantage is awareness. And those things cannot be taken, cannot be threatened, cannot be undermined from the outside. This is why attempts to intimidate you fall flat. Why pressure tactics fail. Why emotional games collapse. You are not defending a fragile identity. You are expressing a stable one. And stability in a world addicted to reaction feels like defiance. It feels like rebellion. It feels like danger. So they talk, they speculate, they project, they try to warn others about you in vague terms, unable to articulate the discomfort you trigger. Because how do you explain that someone didn't attack you, didn't challenge you, didn't even oppose you, yet somehow left you questioning your own position? How do you admit that someone's calm made you nervous, that someone's clarity made you feel exposed, that someone's refusal to engage made you feel irrelevant? You can't, not without confronting your own dependence on validation and control. And that's why your presence lingers in their minds long after the interaction ends. They replay conversations. They rethink moments. They wonder why they felt unsettled. And they won't arrive at the answer easily. Because the answer is not about what you did. It's about what you are. A consciousness that does not bend under expectation. An intelligence that does not need to dominate to be effective. A fearlessness that does not need spectacle to be undeniable. Because what you are cannot be reduced to behavior, cannot be summarized as attitude, cannot be dismissed as confidence. It is a state of being that exposes the scaffolding holding other people together. When they encounter you, something subtle but irreversible happens. Their internal hierarchies start to wobble. The roles they rely on, authority, expertise, dominance, approval, stop functioning the way they're supposed to. They realize, often too late, that you were never competing with them. You were never trying to win the exchange. You were simply present in a way that made the entire exchange unnecessary. And that realization is destabilizing. It forces a reckoning they didn't consent to. Because if someone can stand in front of them without fear, without hunger for validation, without the need to prove intelligence or worth, then all the games they've mastered lose relevance. And people do not like discovering that the skills they built their identity on are optional. They prefer environments where everyone is negotiating, posturing, reacting. You remove that safety net. Your fearlessness doesn't challenge them directly. It renders their strategies obsolete. Your intelligence doesn't overpower theirs. It bypasses it. And so the discomfort grows. They start to sense that around you, they cannot rely on manipulation. cannot hide behind noise, cannot intimidate or impress. They are forced into honesty with themselves, and most people would rather feel threatened than be seen clearly. That's why they talk. That's why they speculate. That's why they try to frame you as different in ways that keep them comfortable. Because admitting the truth, that your presence reveals the fragility of their control, would require them to change. And change is far more frightening than labeling someone else as a problem. As time passes, something else begins to happen. The shock gives way to adjustment. People start modifying their behavior around you without consciously deciding to. Conversations become more careful. Words are chosen with more intention. Empty statements fall away. They sense, even if they can't articulate it, that you won't respond to theatrics. You won't reward exaggeration. You won't validate insecurity disguised as authority. And so the environment reshapes itself subtly. Not because you demand it, but because your presence establishes a baseline of clarity that others either rise to or avoid. Some lean in, curious, drawn to the coherence you embody. Others retreat, unsettled by what they can't control. Both reactions are informative. You learn quickly who is capable of meeting you without armor and who depends on it to function. And you don't need to judge. You simply observe, adjust, and move accordingly. That is intelligence in action, not cleverness, not domination, discernment, the ability to navigate human terrain without getting entangled in it. You see where conversations lead before they fully form. You recognize when an interaction is about truth and when it's about positioning. And because you are not afraid of being alone, you never force alignment where it doesn't exist. That freedom is what makes you dangerous to rigid structures of thought. You cannot be cornered into agreement. You cannot be pressured into compliance. You cannot be baited into reaction. Your mind remains your own, and that autonomy radiates outward in ways people feel before they understand.
And faith, true, unyielding faith, is a force they can't comprehend, let alone conquer. You've become their worst nightmare, someone they can't manipulate, someone who sees through their facade and doesn't flinch. And oh, how it terrifies them. They'll tell themselves you've changed, that you've become cold, heartless. But you know the truth. You haven't become cold. You've become clear. You see, clarity is their undoing. When you see them for who they truly are, their power evaporates. They're no longer the puppeteer pulling the strings. They're the marionette, dancing to the rhythm of their own desperation. And as you rise, they fall. Their kingdom of lies collapses under the weight of your truth. Their games, once so intricate, now seem childish, transparent. You don't need to expose them to the world. They'll expose themselves. Their masks will slip, their lies will unravel, and the truth will stand in stark contrast. But here's the twist they never saw coming. You don't just survive, you thrive. You take the lessons they unwittingly taught you, the resilience, the discernment, the strength, and you turn them into tools for a life they can't touch. It's poetic, really, how their attempts to break you only built you stronger. Every manipulation, every betrayal, every word meant to wound. They weren't destroying you. They were tempering you, like steel in a fire. And now, you shine with a brilliance they can't dim, a strength they can't match. But let's not pretend it was easy. No, the path to this strength was paved with pain, with tears, with nights spent questioning everything. But God doesn't promise ease. He promises victory. And victory, my dear, is what you've achieved. You are armed with something they will never possess, grace. Grace to forgive without forgetting, to move forward without looking back. Grace isn't weakness, it's the ultimate show of power. It says, you no longer control me. Your actions, your words, your schemes, they hold no sway over me. And as you walk away from their chaos, you carry with you the ultimate weapon, peace. Not the fragile peace that comes from avoidance, but the unshakable peace that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. They'll watch you go, and they'll feel it. That gnawing, inescapable fear. Fear of their own irrelevance, their own powerlessness. Fear of the truth that you now carry like a torch, a truth they can't extinguish. And when they're left alone in the ruins of their own making, they'll finally understand. They weren't fighting you. They were fighting something far greater. You didn't just silence the manipulators. You became a force they'll never dare to challenge again. And now we stand here, at the edge of the world they built, a house of cards trembling in the wind. Oh, they thought they were invincible, didn't they? Masters heartless, but because you're wise. You know that looking back only gives them power. So you keep moving forward, carrying with you the lessons they never intended to teach. You've become more than they ever imagined, stronger, wiser, unbreakable. And that terrifies them more than anything else. Because the greatest fear of a manipulator isn't losing control, it's facing the truth. And you, my friend, have become their truth. So let them rage. Let them sulk. Let them twist themselves into knots trying to figure out where they went wrong. It doesn't matter anymore. They don't matter anymore. Because you've won. Not with vengeance, not with anger, but with strength. Strength that comes from knowing who you are and knowing that no one, not them, not anyone, can take that away from you. And as the curtain falls on their act, as the spotlight fades and the audience leaves, they're left alone. Alone with their lies, their schemes, their empty victories. And you? You walk into the light, armed with a peace they'll never understand, and a strength they'll never conquer. You were the puppet once, but now you're the master. And they'll spend the rest of their days haunted by the one thing they never saw coming, the silence.
This video is for one person in the entire world, and you know, if you're watching, you already know what I'm about to say. You already know. Three of Wands, you've been looking for this for a long time, looking for your path, looking for your destiny, searching for your destiny. It's here. Okay, I say this is for one person because this specific individual is meant to be famous in this lifetime. You are meant to be in the spotlight. You are meant to have fame. And I was getting this just specific energy of somebody who like literally knows this. Like, you know this. The Magician, I'm telling you, you know this. It's in your heart. Like, you understand that you're meant to be seen by millions of people. Your energy is meant to be experienced by millions of people. You are meant to like shine your gifts and talents unto the world. You have manifested this, okay? This is somebody whose life purpose is fame. Like, their life purpose is to be wealthy. Their life purpose is to have an easy life, actually, and like to show people that it's possible to manifest your dreams, okay? You're meant to show others that it's possible for them to manifest their dreams. The Three of Wands is just behind the Magician. You created this with your energy, with your, I'm hearing like influx of energy, with your power. You may even have like actual literal power that you're not aware of, or like powers like that you're not aware of. And you're about to be made aware, okay? Either through what you're about to do, or there's something so specific with the hands. Like me even like raising my hand and oh my god, the Magician has his hand up. There's something so specific with like the hand, okay? I don't know if you use your hands to like, maybe you create content, maybe you're a content creator, maybe you are just really skilled with your hands. It's like the Midas touch, okay? So let's keep going. But yeah, with the magician here, like anything you want is yours. And you know how to get it too. You've, in the recent past, like moved away from energies that were no longer serving you. I think you had some funerals in your head for the person that you are about to move away from yourself, right? Like, you've had some like funerals in your head for, I'm just so excited because something good is coming. I can like feel it. Hold on. I can like feel it. Let me just like take a second to like adjust my energy, because it's like, this is, you might be nervous when this comes in, okay? But in the recent past here, you've cleared out some old energies, including like the wounds you've had. You've moved away from the wounds you've had. You've like let them go or released them. And you moved away from like who you are now, maybe, in order to become this magician publicly, okay? In order to like publicly like do magic, I don't know what you're doing here, or to publicly like show what you're made of, to show your strengths, to strut your stuff publicly. I'm like shaking, I don't know if you could tell, because it's like, it's fiery energy, it's passionate energy. Some of you may be dancers, performers, but you're finally doing what you want, and you're doing what you love. And if you are on my channel, like, you're for sure a person of talent, because my energy is reflected in my viewers, you know what I mean? So you are someone who has talent, you have skill, you have confidence, you know who you are, you're confident in what you do. And with the Six of Swords, like, I'm getting you let it go, you released it. You released what was holding you back, you released maybe people in your like energy, that some narrative, or maybe multiple narratives of multiple people, or a narrative of how you see yourself or of what's possible for you, but like you released it, like you've moved away from it, you're ready to like come out, you know what I mean? And this clearing, what you did here, this may even be like deep meditation, but you released it, you let it go. So with that new energy, what's coming out? The Knight of Wands, I told you, fiery, passionate energy. You could be a dancer, you could be a performance artist, a singer here. You've balanced yourself well enough through this. Like, I'm getting that this boat is balanced. It's like moving forward. It's not gonna capsize, it's not gonna topple over. You are well balanced as you move straight into wish fulfillment with this Knight of Cups. This is insane. You may have had multiple like dreams here or multiple wishes. I'm getting all opportunities will be yours. Okay, let's shuffle and keep going. I don't know why. The Four of Swords. You might be in a period of rest and relaxation right now. The Queen of Wands. So you move from the Knight of Wands to the Queen of Wands. This is power. This is you being exalted as like a god or a goddess here. You carry the sacred torch. You carry the sacred flame of healing and rejuvenation towards others. Again, I said you're like in your cocoon, in your bubble, right? Doing some healing. So this is the time for you to like meditate, contemplate, gather your energy before you step out into the world as this magician, Queen of Wands combination. This is crazy. Yeah, this may have something to do with social media. You might be like putting your talents out there. The Tower, this is gonna upset everyone around you. It like is what I'm getting, except for you. But like this is gonna cause like maybe a tower moment in other people's lives, because they were used to seeing you one way and all of a sudden you're showing them a different face, is what I'm getting. Also, they may be like, I'm hearing uproar and then I'm hearing uprising. So you may be like catalyzing an uprising or like just causing a lot of commotion here. People are going to be, you're going to be rocking people's worlds, is what I'm getting. People are going to like not be able to like ignore you, which is crazy. What are you doing? I don't know. I think you're doing a lot of like, you're doing what you want. You're finally doing what you want. Like finally, I'm hearing. And I think for a long time you like kept this like passionate energy to yourself while you were healing. Perfect. Thank you, Jesus energy. Yeah, while you were healing, Five of Pentacles, because people could have seen you like this, down and out, and then they may have like watched you rise. It may have been a slow rise, but you're coming out in like full force, in full effect here, okay? I'm hearing the Sema effect, which is my name, obviously, so just replace that with your name. The blank effect, okay? That's like what you are gonna be giving the world with this Tower and this Two of Wands here. You're giving the world your effects. We have the Page of Wands. You could be like studying here, moving swiftly out of your old timeline into your new one. This is quantum leaping. But with the Page of Wands, you could have really like exercised your talent here. I'm hearing like that phrase of, you know, you practice something for like 10,000 hours or something, and then you become really good at it, right? So that's what this Page of Wands does. She practices until she is perfect in her various talents and skill sets in order to achieve all of her goals, or like attain all of her desires, or be just in this frequency of like feeling free enough to finally do it. Oh wow, I didn't even notice how similar they look. It's really nice. See, to feel free enough to finally step into, to take the leap of faith on yourself, to invest in yourself. You know what I mean? And we have the Hangman. I told you, you might have been in a period of stagnation here. This is your past. Eight of Swords, not knowing where to go, listening to everyone else's opinions. You're not doing that anymore. And people are seeing that. People are saying also that you could be like predicting your success here, or you could be someone psychic, or you could be just very dreamy. You could have a very dreamy disposition is what I'm getting. You also may be like a musician or a music, something to do with music, something to do with magnetism, because the moon has to do with magnetism. Juggling your talents effortlessly here. Working, I said the 10,000 hours. Working on your skill sets and justice. This is yours. This is yours. You are deserving of this fame. You are deserving of this fortune. You start with the Magician, you end with the Justice card. Someone here is meant to have, like, titles, like things in their name. Just don't get, like, spooked, because this energy, the entire reading, we started with the Magician, but the crowning energy of the reading, I feel, is the Tower. So don't let this, like, you can choose. Are you gonna run away? Or are you going to, like, let's say like a big spotlight is shining on you. Are you going to embrace it and step further into the spotlight, or are you going to go hide in your home? You know what I mean? So it's up to you. So, wow. That's amazing. I want to say congratulations. Okay, I'm going to leave it here. If this resonated with you, let me know. I love you very much. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and President Trump just made a decision that a lot of people have been waiting a long time for him to make. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those are the things that really help us out and they help our channel continue to grow. President Trump, and I guess RFK Jr. had something to do with this, has made a monumental decision, and it's something that people have been calling on since 2020, since 2019, 2020, when the pandemic hit, and we felt like they gave us some really faulty information and they were protecting China. They were not giving us the whole truth. That is the World Health Organization, or the WHO, as it's frequently referred. President Trump decided, I believe it was 2 days ago, but it's official now, that we are leaving the World Health Organization as a country. We will no longer be in the WHO. The WHO is, in a lot of people's opinions, bought and paid for, deeply rooted with China, and for that reason, we feel we can't trust them. The president, I think, has made the correct decision here. I think we have a good handle. Our people, our CDC, and our people here, the NIH, have a good handle on how to treat and take care of our people. And I'm not sure what really benefit the WHO has for us anymore. But this was a decision that I think was a long time coming. I want you to listen to this. Watch this and let me know what you think in the comments.
Something that you look at the United Nations, where you have such a strong influence of Russia and China and so many of our adversaries who absolutely hate the United States, and they hate Israel too. All right, President Trump has shaken the globalist agenda to its core, and this latest move fits the mold. The U.S. has now officially left the World Health Organization after President Trump announced the country's departure after he took office a year ago. The U.S. has to give 1 year notice and pay all outstanding fees before departure by law. According to Reuters, a State Department official said that the WHO's failure to contain, manage, and share information had cost the U.S. trillions of dollars. John, I go to you because China plays a big role in the WHO. I feel that the WHO has been deferential to China. What say you?
Of course. Well, luckily for me, I was in the makeup room and I ran into Greta Van Susteren, and she reminded me that the great Greta, and she reminded me on January 14th of 2020, the WHO put out a tweet saying that China had certified that the virus could not be transferred human to human.
Right.
So that's what they said in January of 2020. So right there, they owe us trillions of dollars because this wasn't zoological. This wasn't from some wet market. We all know where it came. And, you know, to me, like you said, we give the most money to the WHO, but they seem to pander to China more than anyone else.
And it's interesting you just brought that up because I actually traveled internationally in January of 2020, and I remember I was in Iceland, their airport, and everyone from China had these masks on. And I remember being like, why are there these big groups of, people in masks? And then, of course, it was about 3 weeks, 4 weeks later that the news broke, and it was makes you wonder what was being actually said within China that's been kept from everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about delayed responses to global.
Chosen ones, stop for a second. If you leave now, you will miss a moment that does not come back. What you are about to hear is not background noise, and not just another message drifting past your ears. This is a summons issued at a precise time, aimed directly at you. Heaven marked this moment, and your name was already attached before you pressed play. What you do next is being observed, not with anger, but with attention. God chose today, not yesterday, not when things slow down today. That is why this moment feels heavy.